Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I had a great question in the comments asking, what does Fat Fire look like to me that is minimally stressful? And I thought it was a great question because I've been self-reflecting a lot about stress, what my end game is, and what I ultimately want to do now that I hit a $6 million net worth. And I'm starting to realize that if I were to go to 6 million, to 7 million, to 8 million, right now, my quality of life would not necessarily improve. It just would be fancier when I log into Personal Capita, which is now Empower, and just see a number go up over time. So for me, what I consider to be Fat Fire is $20,000 a month in income. And I don't know why I chose $20,000 a month in income, but I chose it because a pharmacist typically takes home about $10,000 a month if it's a higher income pharmacist in California, which is a higher cost of living market. And essentially, that's me and my fiance are both pharmacists, so I'm trying to replace both our salaries. So roughly, that's about $20,000 a month. So in my mind, I want passive income, whether it's through real estate, business, index funds. I mean, none of it's truly passive, but by passive, I'm meaning it's not dependent on my time for the most part. When you work a W-2, if you get paid $100 an hour and you work 8 hours, you get paid $800. Well, real estate, you can make money without any work because of appreciation, because of cash flow, but you may have to work if there's renovations, if there's a problem tenant, if you have to evict somebody, if you have to show the units. So it's more leveraged work and less work, relatively speaking. So for me, it's really been that, different in terms of passive income. So for there, it's $20,000 a month is my goal. But ideally, I want $20,000 a month in passive income that is not too stressful. So what do I consider as not stressful? To me, not stressful is the income that I'm making comes in every month. It's very stable. It's very guaranteed. I have a large emergency reserve for a rainy day. For me, that's at least $150K, just given all the real estate that I own, while also minimizing my expenses. So for me, my largest expense, and I have a video talking about it, is my mortgage. My mortgage, which is my loan, is about $800,000, 6.5% interest rate. We put 5% down, so we have PMI. It's about $5,500 a month. And you tack on there $2,000 for everything else, I pay $7,500 a month. So if I were to sell a property and wipe out my mortgage, essentially, I would lower my housing payment to $2,000 a month, which is really cheap in an expensive city like Los Angeles. Right? My last apartment studio, 450 square foot, rented for $2,200. Now I'm going to own a 1,600 square foot townhome, and I pay $2,000 a month, and it's going to appreciate still. So that's what I want to do. So I want to lower my expense and not worry about my expense. And that's what's most stressful. It's like if I had to pay $7,500 a month, and I'm cash flowing $20,000 a month, if I had one major repair in my real estate portfolio, it might wipe out my income, and now I'm digging into my reserves, and I would find that stressful. So to me, it's been really, that's what I've been really thinking about. So like, how can I take some chips off the table to lower my expense significantly to essentially make it less stressful for me? So I think for me, owning real estate is great, but I don't want to own too much simultaneously. So what people could do, and which I've been thinking about, is I own so many single family homes. And when you're married and you live in a primary residence, if you live in it for 2 of the past 5 years, you can write off up to $500,000 of capital gains tax. And most of my properties have over $500,000 in equity. I think 2 of my single family homes have $500,000 in equity, and one has like $600,000 in equity. So at a 20% capital gains tax rate, that's roughly about $100K in capital gains tax. So if me and my fiance retired, and let's just say we picked up a per diem job, so we work as needed, we can literally move into all my single family homes, live there for 2 years each. So for example, imagine I were to temporarily rent out this house, move into my house in Livermore, live there for 2 years. After that, sell it, defer $500,000 in capital gains tax, move into my San Francisco house for 2 years, sell it, defer my capital gains tax, and then just repeat that process every time. In a weird way, that's like tax hacking, right? You're taking advantage of the primary residence tax code to the past 5 years, and you just move into your homes and sell them. And that's if you want, or you can 1031 exchange, but you're forced to buy another investment property. So those are the ways to go. So if we're not dependent on my W-2 or we're working per diem, I think what's considered a primary residence is you have to spend the majority of your time there. So at least 6 months a year out of 12. You have to have your mailing address there, or maybe your credit card will be there, or your driver's license, not credit card. You go to some activities there. But how do they know if you're living, six months and 1 day at one property and then, 5 months and 29 days at another property? So that's where it gets a little gray. Or, and this is kind of a question to any CPAs if you're out there, was if I'm living in one and my wife's living in the other one, are they both considered primaries? That's kind of the gray part for me. Probably need to figure the question to that out. But we could do that, if I want to, and not pay capital gains tax. That's another thing that you can do if you want to save, about $100,000 in capital gains tax, which is a decent sum of money. So for me, to be completely stress-free, if I wanted fat fire completely stress-free, it would just be selling all my real estate and then dumping that into index funds, which is super passive, averages 7 to 10% a year. So you would do the 4% rule. So you would, let's just say I have $500,000 or $5 million in, because my net worth is $6 million. Let's just say after I sell my real estate, I pay $1 million in capital gains tax plus my $1 million real estate or investment portfolio. That'll be $5 million total. And assuming the 4% rule, I should know my math because I'm Asian, but I think that's going to be $200,000 a year that we could live off of, assuming the 4% rule. But if I were to assume the 8% rule, which is I may dip into my principal, but knowing me, I'm probably still going to work in some capacity, whether it's this YouTube, coaching, mentorship, becoming a real estate broker. I know I'm going to work in some capacity, to be honest. So even if I were to assume the 8% rule at $5 million, that is $400,000 a year, which is 2 pharmacist salaries. And I could basically live off that for the rest of my life and be comfortable. So really, that's a truly stress-free fat fire, is you buy a bunch of real estate, cash it out, dump into index funds. You can do hard money lending if you want to too. You can get 10 to 12%. Maybe I'll look into that, where if there's a company where hard money lenders will say, hey, you give me $100,000, we'll pay you 12% return your money, and they go lend it out for 14% and charge origination fees, and it's more passive for me. Great. That's easy. I literally am carrying a note on my mobile home park, and it's so easy. I literally do nothing, and every month I get $2,200 a month direct deposited automatically into my bank account. Super easy. So that might be the move I do. So it's really options at that point. And what's crazy is I hit this at 34 years old. I'm 4 years older than my fiance, but it's going to be hard to predict how much kids are going to cost. And I know kids can be as expensive as you want it to be and as cost effective as you want it to be, depending on all that. So anyways, hopefully this gave you some value as to what fat fire looks like for me with minimum stress. It's basically would be me selling all my real estate, all my primary residence free and clear, and just dumping my money into index funds and do a little bit of hard money lending and do whatever I feel like doing after that. And basically not having a primary residence to worry about, to pay for. I always have a roof over my head. The base expense is wiped out. And basically being able to travel, I would say 4 to 5 times a year would be my sweet spot. Might be harder with kids. That could be a limiting belief. And basically doing what I want whenever I want. I think that was my ultimate end goal. So anyways, hopefully you found value. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope to see you in the next one. If you're looking to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the mentorship program. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video with somebody who can find value. I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.